I went for the Platinum Trophy in Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. With a total of 38 trophies, it had me playing through its story, to getting collectibles, and surprisingly, a very difficult trophy hidden at the very end of the game. Our journey starts in the Skylands, an ancient world of wonder and mystery. For generations, the Portal Masters and Skylanders kept peace and balance around the world, so that all creatures could thrive. We're guided by Eon, who details that the world is now in grave danger as the darkness spreads. They need our help to fight back. He tells us his assistant Hugo will be seeking us out and will talk again soon. Several hot air balloons are seen evacuating a village, meaning something is terribly wrong as we're introduced to Flynn and Hugo. Here, we enter the field by placing a Skylander on the Portal of Power, a physical device, and we're given 3 Skylanders to choose from, with Spyro, Gilgrunt, and Trigger Happy. If you haven't heard of Skylanders, it's the toys to life genre, where you have a physical figurine who can be transported into the game, meaning there are dozens upon dozens of Skylanders to collect in the series. Thankfully, you can get by with just the 3 originally included for the Platinum. Anyhow, I choose Spyro. Hugo gives us the rundown that we need to save the villagers. It's a basic control system, with our movement and 2 attacks. As we begin to help the villagers, it wouldn't be too long until we started popping trophy after trophy, such as finding and opening our first treasure chest. Exploring around, I would find an elemental gate. This one specifically needs the magic element, which Spyro is. This is because every Skylander has its own element, ranging from water to tech and many more. By unlocking the gate, it pops a trophy. I then somehow get the trophy Hello Skylander for placing a Skylander on the Portal of Power for the first time after swapping Spyro to another character. During my exploration, I would come across a gift box that contained a hat. I then opened the character menu for the first time to equip one for the bonus stats, unlocking Fashion Stylist. As you can probably tell, these Skylanders were previously owned, meaning they had various things like hats and upgrades. After discovering the reset button, I applied it to them, so I wouldn't steamroll through the game, but also for another trophy in the future. I continued to help the village by fighting back the monsters, specifically 15 Chompies for a trophy, and after saving the final villager, we make our escape with Flynn and Hugo, concluding the Shattered Island level. We get more lore on the Skylands, and that it was protected by the wisest and powerful Portal Masters. The greatest among them was Master Eon. Him and his Skylanders protected the Core of Light for centuries. It had enriched the world, holding at bay the darkness, the ultimate force behind all evil. Eon being the last Portal Master and growing weaker with age, he knew it was only a matter of time before the darkness would return. Chaos is introduced, who turns out to be less menacing than originally depicted, who wants to destroy the Core of Light and rule Skylands as its emperor. He releases monsters upon the land, and the Skylanders fight back until Chaos eventually destroys the Core of Light, scattering it into the far corners of the universe, and ultimately the Skylands losing its greatest protectors. As the Skylanders were drawn further and further away from the magic of Skylands, they reached our world, and Eon miraculously survived. However, he became a spirit, and without a body, he could not fight back Chaos, and that's where we come in. We arrive at the hub area, but immediately depart as we need to find someone called Callie. We find several types of collectibles throughout the level, such as the previously known gift box that contains hats, a scroll that gives more lore of Skylands, a soul gem which are special upgrades for Skylanders, and basically an advertisement for buying Skylanders you don't own. I might as well talk about the other collectible that I didn't get in this level, as we'll be needing a few of each for trophies, such as the legendary treasure which provide a lot of money. It isn't just all combat and exploration in the Skylands, there are also a variety of puzzles to solve throughout each level, ranging from strength pushes to rotational ones. We'd find Callie locked behind a gate, but with this conveniently placed turret, we're able to blast it open and take Callie back to Hugo with Flynn's airship. He exclaims that the old core was used to repel the force of darkness, and if we can rebuild a new core of light, it should stop chaos. We should be able to find the eternal sources needed to rebuild it with the far viewer. The first one seen is air, but something has gone wrong. The whole place is being blown apart, but we can only access the area by upgrading the air balloon with a propeller. Before taking our leave to gather the parts, I take on one of Callie's heroic challenges for a trophy, which involved completing a task in a time limit. After successfully getting the propeller, we arrive back at base and are greeted by Persephone, who can help us by providing upgrades to our Skylander in exchange for money. I decide to upgrade Gilgrunt's harpoons for extra damage and earn a trophy. With the propeller fitted onto the the air balloon, we can now travel to the Stormy Stronghold and fight our way to obtain the Eternal Air Source, as well as a trophy. We then investigate the docks at base due to a ruckus, where we find Gurglefin, who is locked up, and by solving the puzzle, we save him. He exclaims his island has been taken over by trolls and enslaved the rest of his kind. We agree to help and head over to Oil Spill Island, fighting our way through trolls, solving puzzles, gathering collectibles, and freeing the gillmen throughout the factory. As a thank you, Gurglefin builds an oil extractor on our base, which we use it on the Farseeker due to its rusting. Hugo spots the twin spouts of Osha Major Minor, which is needed for the Eternal Water Source. Gurglefin warns us that it's in Darkwater Cove, and it's a nasty place filled with pirates. Eventually finding the twin spouts, we need to escape and manage to do so by stealing one of the pirate ships. Now we're able to talk about the Eternal Water Source located in a string of islands, as it has returned to the sea. It can only be summoned with the 4 ancient statues on these islands. However, there is also rumours of a giant fish that lives in those waters called the Leviathan, said to eat whole villages, meaning we'll have to deal with more than just chaos and the darkness. This Leviathan is needed for our next trophy. When we go into the open water, you'll see it rapidly approach and consume you. The only way to escape is by repeatedly hitting its uvula. Repeating this 5 times nets us Leviathan Dentist. After acquiring the 4 statues, the Eternal Water Source appears, but unfortunately we are ambushed by Chaos, who summons clones of Skylanders for us to fight, as well as a rainfall of sharks for us to dodge and weave. Otherwise, they quickly eat your health bar if you get bitten. We destroy Chaos's minions and he admits defeat, allowing us to take the Eternal Water Source for a trophy. I decided to replay this level due to a trophy I missed during the shark phase of the Chaos fight, and that was to dodge 30 of them without being hit. It looks difficult in these clips, but there is a phase where Chaos sends sharks down a line, where you can easily farm the 30 for the trophy. While Hugo gathers more intel on the next Eternal Source, we head down to the beach where we find Clamtron 4000 who wants oil. After giving it the oil, it now requires some clams to make pearls. We collect the clams on the beach and hand them over, where it surprisingly makes a bomb, and that turns out to be convenient as Hugo has found another piece for the Core of Light, the Crystal Eye, which has been stolen by Cyclopses, but they've sealed off the bridge entrance that used to unite the temple to their kingdom. We'll use the created bomb to open an entrance in the tunnel, where we meet Diggs, who has just escaped the Cyclopses. Thankfully, he can take us near the entrance. There is a unique trophy to this level. As you can see, these enemies roll down barrels, and we must complete the level without being hit by any. Considering you can break these barrels, it isn't too hard of a trophy to obtain. And with that, we take the Crystal Eye back to the Core of Light. Now we immediately go back to Stone Town, where the villagers have recovered the Eternal Earth Source and are keeping it safe until we arrive. Unfortunately, it's become a terrible monster, wreaking havoc around the town. Before dealing with it, I managed to have collected 10 soul gems throughout my adventure so far for a trophy. We then fight the Earth Golem by dodging its boulder throwing attacks and repelling back with our harpoons and water gun to defeat it, revealing the Eternal Earth Source, earning us a trophy. With the source fitted into the Core of Light, it revives Arbo, who tells us of the Eternal Life Source, but to find it we must gather the seeds of life and plant them so their roots can point the way. He manipulates the terrain to create a giant stalk leading to the Tree of Life, where we'll find the life seeds. Like always, fighting through enemies and gathering collectibles before reaching our main objective. We take the life seeds back and grow them while defending them from hungry sheep. With that, the Eternal Life Source is located, hidden inside of a giant acorn within the Tree of Life. Throughout this level, we would unlock 4 trophies. The first for collecting 10 story scrolls, the second for never using any rocket. These large saws are damaging the greenery, and it wants you to use the rockets to destroy them, but we can take out the pilot with our water gun. The next trophy would come from the fight against Chaos after we reach the Eternal Life Source. Like before, Chaos summons entities for us to fight, and instead of sharks, he summons patterns of orbs for us to deal with. The final entity he summons has this attack where it spews out seeds onto the field, and by waiting for more than 5 of them to be on the field, then defeating it, we unlock the trophy as well as the Eternal Life Source. The Core of Light is slowly being built as we witness the progress of each Charge Element help. We're interrupted by General Robot, who has a problem with the trolls. They are keeping something unknown in a heavily guarded warehouse. Skyland's intel believe it's some sort of gear, which turns out to be the golden gear we need to repair the Core of Light. We'd unlock a trophy during this level as we need to cross this land, but it is littered with landmines, and by exploring through this level, we would find pieces of the map the trolls used to place them. With the map completed, it would show us the correct path to avoid every landmine for the trophy, and that would result in us obtaining the golden gear. However, it requires a rare kind of grease called the green primordial goo. General Robot says the troll military has taken a massive leap forward in terms of its technological capability, and reckons that green goo could be the reason. What makes it worse is that if they were to discover the secrets of the goo, their forces would be virtually unstoppable. We help General Robot's infantry by fighting the trolls and rolling bombs to blow up their machinery. We would also level up our first Skylander to level 10 for a trophy, then secure the factories for the green primordial goo. Now we need the Eternal Tech Source, which is also in the trolls' possession. They've been using it to develop a slew of new weapons, such as this giant tank. We target its most vulnerable part until it explodes, and obtain the Eternal Source for the trophy, Perfect Technology. Back at base, a previously locked doorway opens that is due to the spirits of the undead, and they don't cross over unless they are severely disturbed. So we go check it out and find T-Bone, who needs his body rebuilding from the various bones around the island. After asking about the Eternal Source, he reckons he can help us and takes us to the underworld. Before that, I get a trophy for purchasing all upgrades on one Skylander and pick up several trophies throughout the underworld levels, such as collecting 10 hats throughout my adventure, and we'd also fight Chaos again in the same format, fighting clones of Skylanders and dodging projectiles, this time being laser traps. Here, we need to avoid being hit by the laser traps for the trophy, and by finishing the level, this meant we acquired the Elemental Source. I'd also mention this somewhat trick I did. As I need to collect 10 legendary treasures for a trophy, I noticed this one close to me that required solving a puzzle, but turns out Trigger Happy is small enough to fit between the gap to collect it. With the Eternal Undead Source in the Core of Light, it would open yet another path. Dig says we moles were digging for the Crucible of Ages, but there was a terrible cave-in, and Hugo exclaims it's one of the missing components to the Great Machine, being the only relic in the world that can contain the power of the Eternal Fire Source. We blow up the cave-in and make our way through Moleskin Mine, picking up 2 trophies. The first is that we've been given a pickaxe to mine through rocks around the level, and we must mine them all. There are a few hidden away, and some even locked behind an elemental gate, but thankfully Trigger Happy can access it. I ended up missing a rock, meaning I had to redo this level, and accidentally unlocked another trophy alongside it, and that was to get 3 stars in any one level. As you can see on the screen, there are a set of objectives needed for the 3 stars, so I was able to get with relative ease due to me playing the level again, which also nets me another trophy for discovering 10 legendary treasures. We obtain the Crucible of the Ages and head back to base. I then decided to do 2 more heroic challenges for the trophy for completing 3 of them. Now my focus was on the Eternal Fire Source, once again fighting Chaos and his minions, but this time we need to be playing Gilgrunt and only using his water gun ability to defeat the enemies, unlocking the trophy as well as the fire source. Now there is only one elemental source to obtain, and that is magic. Flynn mentions that a weird ancient statue out on the water has been moving. It's the Weapon Master, who has awoken from their 10,000 year slumber. They are what is left of an ancient civilization, the Archaean Weapon Masters, keepers of many secrets, and have been waiting for one to pass them to, which we are near, but we must first prove ourselves by obtaining the Quicksilver, a surprisingly hard level due to these enemies capable of deploying many missiles at once for some serious damage. We solve the puzzles to open the gate and take the Quicksilver. Now the eternal source of magic is locked in the Archaean Armory, meaning there'll be many defense systems in place, such as the war machines, and we take one for ourselves to fight our way to the inner chamber. We'd unlock a trophy throughout this section, as the war machine can fire lasers and deal devastating punches to the environment, and by defeating 30 enemies we unlock the Ace Pilot. Arriving at the inner chamber, I activate the required switches to grab the magic source and finally complete the Core of Light. It begins to repel the darkness and has revealed Chaos's location, so we'll bring the fight to him, where the hardest trophy in the game is located. This is a long fight, consisting of all the previous ones we fought. This trophy wants you to beat Chaos without swapping Skylander. That also means not dying. Chaos goes through all the Skylanders we've previously fought, and by defeating them, they drop food that you can save to heal up. But if you also damage Chaos, you can move him to the next phase, meaning you'll potentially skip the food. He also rotates through all the dodgeable attacks from before, so it's pot luck on what one you'll get. Easily the most frustrating bit about this fight is when he summons 3 Skylanders at once, and specifically this one, the skeleton with a sword, because it just runs you down and almost instantly attacks on spawn. I have to kill the bird and get 150 health back. No, he just spawned right on me and did the attack. Even though I just said it's the most frustrating bit, I honestly think it is the amount of cutscenes that you must deal with when starting a game. It's too slow. You can't skip them, nor the dialogue. It would take me several attempts to make it to the final phase, where you only must deal with dodgeable attacks, and then it's sort of smooth sailing from there, unless you get unlucky with the lava one, as it can almost instantly kill you. One last hit on Chaos, I conclude the fight and Eon entraps him, sending him far, far away. The credits roll and the 2 trophies unlock, one for completing adventure mode and the other for defeating Chaos without swapping Skylanders during battle. Now our last trophy before the platinum is in the PvP mode. I'd had to get myself a second controller. I set up the match and let one Skylander defeat the other, resulting in the first battle trophy. And of course, the platinum for Skylanders Spyro's Adventure.